Welcome to Blamestorming. Blamestorming. In a post-truth world, there's plenty of blame to go around. 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 Join Dave Sirus and Maryssa Smith as they blamestorm about today's hot topics.
Hey guys.
This is hello, Dave. Yeah. Hi. We got Maryssa Smith here, don't we?
We do.
Who else we got over there, Maryssa?
We've got Phill Causey with us.
Hello, children.
Who else?
At the moment, that's it, but I will...
What?
Yeah.
I was told there'd be 2 guests.
I know. You left, you're out in LA, so I just got all the booze, and, we've just been doing Jaeger bombs this whole time.
I told you to stop giving people liquor. It makes them less political.
And Dave's away, we shall all play.
I'm in LA doing work.
In my experience, booze makes some people more political.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, he bitches when I bring beer on the show, and so I just don't feel like him whining. So I just brought munchkins.
Well, you didn't have to deal with a drunk Chris. The first time we got beer here, people got drunk off their asses.
He had 2 beers.
He weighs 85 pounds.
I'm not his mother. He should know how much beer he can drink.
Yes, well, spilt milk, I guess.
But how much dealing with Chris did you have to do? Didn't you just see him in the elevator?
Exactly. I had to deal with all that.
All 45 seconds of the elevator ride?
He made small talk on the way out as well.
We've got Sarah back with us.
Hey, Sarah.
Hi.
So, you didn't really have to deal with Chris.
Look, I know Chris very well, so I can tell you, even a moment is too much. He's a great person. Anyway, how you guys doing?
Magical. Thanks for asking.
We're good.
Got super lost on the way back from the bathroom, which is pretty embarrassing, but I'm doing okay.
It's a weird layout.
Yeah. So now, Phill, who do you think the Democrats should float for 2020?
Well, this is a very specific answer. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay, so for those of you who are listening who are wondering about Trump and who we're going to run, my top pick for 2020 is the governor of Montana, Steve Bullock.
Okay, so
I realize saying that everyone right now is going, who the fuck is that? And pausing this and Googling him probably right now, which you all should.
Well, an important thing to remember when talking about the 2020 election is that the incumbent president like Trump, especially one who's so, such a baby about, elections, is going to say things like whoever runs against him has to be famous now. But if you really look at the history of elections, most people become famous off the primaries.
Exactly.
Bill Clinton was not a famous person until the Democratic primary. So there's really no reason that anyone who's a prominent politician right now should be out of the race.
Yeah, well, nor was Obama. No one heard of him until that primary either.
Well, he had the big keynote address at the 2004 election, at the 2004 convention. That was his big thing, though.
Well, that's the thing. But anybody who wasn't a political junkie really didn't know who he was at that point. Is kind of what I was saying.
Yeah. He had that was a very big coming out party for him in 2004.
Yeah.
So now, why do you think Bullock should be the go-to guy?
Well, by the way, I'm not in any way officially associated with him or any campaigns. I should probably put that disclaimer at the top.
No, but you send me enough messages that this guy right here.
Well, the reason why is because he won Montana twice as a progressive Democrat. In a state that Trump won.
Right.
And so he has massive cross-party appeal, and he can probably win back almost all, if not all, of the states that got swung in the wrong direction in 2016.
Well, I remember years ago, people used to say the only way a Democrat can win is if he's Southern. After Clinton, people really believe that you have to be a Southern Democrat because that's the only way a Democrat can win enough of the red states to win an election. Of course, that changed. But Montana basically counts the same way.
Uh-huh.
It's middle of nowhere. It's
exactly.
It's red country. So, yeah, if you look like someone who can get those people – because unfortunately, in a very weird way, the right, as of this moment, doesn't really have any ideology. There's nothing that that specific that they hold on to and say, this is what we really believe in, they've become very cult of personality. They're like wrestling fans. And the thing about wrestling is that things can swing much faster than in a real political world.
They are.
I never thought of it that way. That's pretty funny.
They are pretty fixated on being anti-choice and anti-abortion across the board, which could hurt Bullock. Is that how you say it? Because
why would that hurt him though?
Well, because he's super pro-choice and he's defended Title X, which is a government which was a bill that funds like reproductive health care, and he also he supported Title X, and he also supported insurance plans being required to cover birth control and abortion. I think
two things. Sorry,
but I don't know. I don't necessarily know that could hurt him. He might if he can sort of keep that from being a focal point, then he might be fine. Because he would, I think he would lose a lot of women's votes if he did change his position or if he, acted like he wasn't. But,
I think right now
there's no possible way a Democrat can win any election if he's not pro-choice. And the two things to remember, important things to remember, we are still a country where the majority wants abortion.
Yeah.
We're still a country where a higher percentage of people, even though it's close, still are pro-choice. And it's important to remember, Brett Kavanaugh is only there because of the promise that he's going to get rid of abortion. And I think a lot of the at-home Republicans, the ones who, let's say, believe more than the people in Capitol Hill of Trump, they don't realize that abortion is never going away. They're just being used as a political tool to raise money. So now that they actually have enough people in the Supreme Court to get rid of abortion, when they don't, these people might start realizing that this was always a fake story, that they were never going to get this. They just wanted to be whipped up about it.
That's sort of true. Yes, it's not going away on a national legislative scale, but Missouri is it might be about to become the first state with no abortion clinics. There's one left, and they are a lot of anti-choice groups are lobbying really hard to close it. And there's a case going up right now, that could close the last clinic in Missouri. There are huge swaths of the country where it is not available and you have to drive hours or even days, to get to a clinic. And so, it is being undermined at an alarming rate in ways that a lot of people don't realize.
That is true.
Even though trap laws it was ruled that they were illegal, they are, it's still a trap law that's going to close that last clinic in Missouri. And that also affects Kansas. So I'm also biased because I work for Lady Parts Justice, and that's an this is all this is our jam. This is all we talk about all the time. But, so if he can do anything to make abortion less accessible, because the idea of Roe v. Wade is not just that it be legal, it's that it be legal and available, and it's currently not. As of this moment in America, huge percentage of the population are not able to get an abortion, or if they are,
Let me ask you this. Mm-hmm. That is very true. That is the sort of extra legal way that the right is trying to get rid of abortion by simply adding all these fake restrictions and trying to just make it impossible to have one.
Yeah.
But is it possible? Is it possible that the reason there was only one abortion clinic left in Missouri is because it is just such an awesome abortion clinic to put them all out of business?
It is a great clinic.
People are I will drive the extra hours to go to this one because it is immaculate.
I have been there. It is a great clinic. But I don't know if they're just so amazing that
why do you hate capitalism, Sarah?
That's a great point. I love capitalism. I just don't like getting figuratively fucked by it. Fucked and impregnant.
Sounds like she hates babies.
Oh, I do. I super hate babies and I love abortion.
No, I agree with that part. I just think that, we shouldn't be taking we shouldn't be taking all this business away from the only game in town in Missouri, apparently.
And good for them for outlasting. But yeah, I do think it will be interesting to see what happens if Roe v. Wade isn't overturned and if they do get real pissed.
The real problem is really the definition of undue burden, right?
Yeah.
So that's where most of these states get away with so much, is because the whole concept of undue burden is so nebulous that it's there's one abortion clinic in the whole state. It's not an undue burden that you have to drive 8 miles, or it's not an undue burden that you have to drive 8 days. Like, you know, it's just like, it's the whole, there's no like firm footing on what is considered an undue burden.
That did get solidified a little bit though in the trap laws case, where they said that you weren't allowed to do these laws that would, that close clinics. And so like there is.
And a lot of it was like stupid shit, like the walls, the hallways had to be certain width.
Wide enough for a gurney. Yeah, it had to, and then you had to have admitting privileges to hospitals. And those were ruled illegal, like that type of laws, but they are still in place state to state because it didn't get enforced. But, and it's also, what's especially egregious about this is like the gurney privileges, like you have to be able to get a gurney in and out because the idea is like, oh, if you need to get, a stretcher in, but like abortions are safer than most dental procedures and they're safer than a colonoscopy. And like,
except for the part where you're murdering somebody.
Right. Except for the baby, the baby gets, but proctologists and dentists don't have to do those things. And so it's just, a proctologist's medical waste is way grosser than an abortion clinic. Shenanigans.
Yes.
Anyway, I didn't mean to go down an abortion wormhole, but it's all I do all the time.
It's important to talk about.
Yeah, but I think, I don't know. Bullock does seem great. I like that. Didn't he pass a law where they, like, politicians in Montana have to say where their funding comes from? Or
well, actually, yes. I'm glad you mentioned that. So there was a case in 2012, which, he was trying to push so you had to disclose your, thing, cause I guess they were the last state in the country that, like, you had to disclose your money, but the Supreme Court overruled him, and currently he's suing the IRS over campaign disclosure, which is hilarious.
That's amazing.
The balls on this. I mean, that's living the dream. How many people wish they could sue the IRS?
Yeah.
And so that's the thing. He's like the anti-corruption candidate.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is one of the things that Trump ran against Hillary on is, oh, she's corrupt.
Right.
So this guy is so uncorrupt that that's not an avenue to attack him on.
Yeah. And he's suing the IRS, which, that'll be a good tie-in to Trump not releasing his tax returns. And I'm sure that Trump wishes he could sue the IRS. So yeah. But also so I get this mix. So states have to disclose, right? State politicians have to disclose where their funding is from, but like on a national level, they don't, or like super PACs can get around it.
The Supreme, because federal law supersedes state law, so the Supreme Court overruled his state ruling.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because I just remember being real mad when Congress voted against like some disclosure law, because I was like, that's so obviously acting in their own interest and not
because they don't want
us
to know where their money is coming from.
Exactly. But I was like, that's just so blatant. Like when it's blatant like that, it drives me nuts. I'm like, be a little sneaky, like sneak it into something else. You know what I mean? Like sneak it into some other tax bill.
Like we don't even deserve the smoke and the mirrors. It's just like, here's our shit, eat it.
Like, I know. I miss the clever lies.
About government, yeah.
Yeah.
I really miss the days when they at least tried to lie to us.
Right.
When they pretended, like, remember that Pennsylvania politician was promising he would get enough black people off the voter rolls to win the election?
Yeah.
You're supposed to lie about that.
And in Georgia, too. All of the friggin' voter like
North Dakota.
They're openly gerrymandering. They forgot it's supposed to be a secret.
Yeah. I mean,
how many black people are in North Dakota, though? I mean, really?
Well, it's the Native Americans that they're trying to keep from voting. And so they basically passed a law.
This isn't about George.
What?
Sorry, George is the black person in North Dakota.
It's not about George, okay?
He didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, so basically, like in North Dakota, the Native Americans and indigenous people, they've been using their tribal IDs to vote the entire time. And their tribal IDs do not have a street address, but then they just passed a law, like, within the last couple of months. So like they were able to vote in the primary, but now in like the real election in November, this law just went into effect that said that like all eligible IDs have to have a street address, which means that like most of like the indigenous people of North Dakota are not going to be able to vote because their IDs don't have an address. So a lot of the tribal leaders are putting together like a new tribal ID so that their people can vote.
You know what, though? If they don't like it, they should go back where they came from.
Yeah. Oh, it's so ridiculous. And then, it was in Georgia where the, Stacey Abrams, is that her name? Right?
Yeah, she's running. And then the guy the Republican Kemp is.
Have you guys seen that ad?
Who is an incumbent, right? Incumbent?
No, he's not an incumbent.
He's the state. I think he's the state.
Wait, the guy who said he's going to step on your face with golf shoes?
No, Kemp in Georgia.
Have you seen the ad?
That was a different
ad that he's
state.
famous for?
No.
Oh, dude, if you guys are bored, I think there's a bunch of people have
They're
it
listening
YouTube.
to the podcast. They are. Go on.
Okay. Yeah. Well, pause and go on YouTube. There's an ad. I think somebody has it titled like greatest campaign ad ever. And this ad, I swear to you, it plays like almost like an SNL skit. Like if you didn't know it was real, you'd think it was fake because it's so over the top conservative on purpose to the point where it's actually funny.
Is it the guy? Is it the truck that he has? Is it him in the truck?
I got a big truck.
I'm going to round up the illegals in my truck.
That guy. Yeah.
And it's like, cool. I believe you. I believe that you're going to do that. You're going to put him right in your truck.
And his opponent had the deportation bus. Did you see the deportation bus ad?
Oh, yeah, that's a different, that's a different race.
No, it's not. No, those are both Georgia governor primary ads, and Kemp won over that guy. I forgot what his name was. He had a very white sounding name, obviously. But yeah, he had a deportation bus tour as his campaign.
You got a truck? I got a bus. Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna put them right in there. Okay. This is not political. It's political in that it was a political race in Richmond that gave me a lot of delight and pleasure. The mayor, who I believe won, his last name was Butt. And then there was a city council member and their last name was Pimple. And so there was Butt and Pimple on the ballot. And I was like, you know what? I might move to Richmond. That's amazing. I want to vote.
Who are you voting for, Butt or Pimple?
Let me say something about that guy, the Scott Wagner, the Pennsylvania guy who did say that he was going to stomp on the governor's face with golf spikes.
Right.
Here's what's amazing about that. Do you know how sad it is that you're trying to sound tough and your toughest references are to golf?
Yeah.
That is the whitest candy-ass thing I have ever – You are the weakest bitch I've ever heard of in my life.
Yeah.
When you think that golf shoes are what a tough man wears.
I'm going to step all over you in my golf shoes, I swear.
I'm getting the vapors.
I'm getting oh, gracious. Get your face down here so I can step on it.
I'm going to put down this embroidered umbrella and give you the business.
Yeah, my caddy can beat up your caddy. The other guy's name, by the way, is Michael Williams with the deportation bus ad.
Oh, with
if anybody
the
wants to take the time, hilarious.
The bus is the better ad than the truck? Because the truck
the truck one's funnier, but the deportation bus one is he basically is a one issue candidate, and he's running on like I want to just deport people from the state, and it's hilarious.
And does Georgia get a lot of? I don't know. I mean, maybe they do. What do I know? Maybe they do have a lot of refugees, but do they?
Well, they're near Florida. Florida has a lot of people from like Cuba and all the islands.
Good Lord, it's not the immigrants in Florida that you have to worry about. Like everyone knows,
migrants all over the place. I mean, they're everywhere.
No, I mean I know they're everywhere, but like you're right near Florida. Your concern should not be migrants. Your concern should be gators and Florida men. Like that's come on now. It's the natives of Florida, and I don't mean Native Americans. I mean like Florida men.
Should be gators and gator fans.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Oof. I mean, talking about the immigration and migrants. So like there is a caravan of 4,000 Hondurans that is making their way towards the U.S. They should be approaching the Mexico-Guatemalan border.
Great segue, by the way. Can I just say that was fantastic?
That was seamless.
The Guatemalan Mexico border. And so in preparation of this, Trump and his administration are contemplating doing like a reboot of the family separation. It's not an act. It's just.
Oh, the policy.
The policy that they put together.
The zero tolerance policy.
Yeah. And so like, even though they've already been told that they can't do it, but they're trying to put it together before this caravan gets here, and they're threatening both Guatemala and Mexico that if they allow this caravan of migrants to get to the U.S. borders, that they're going to cut off funding.
Well, let him say that because he doesn't know what the funding is to these countries. He doesn't know what trade deals we have with these countries. He's just saying this to say it. So the last thing we should be worried about is that Trump is going to follow through with anything. You know, one of the leaders of China, one of the main government people there, said they don't know how to negotiate with the United States because it's the first time the president is not the president, because the government does not follow the president's policies. So
I mean, it's not the first time,
of the
though.
president.
I mean, we had jelly beans. You know, we had Reagan. It's not the first time the president was not the president. Plus, Bush was barely the president.
How dare you speak badly of that wonderful artist?
They worked within a system that could be understood. They weren't out there saying things that their own people were ignoring.
No, it's true. They were under control. Like, they weren't the president, but they were reined in.
Right. They were aware of the fact that of the position they were in.
Right.
I mean, like I said, we've said many times, there are so many ways he's worse than the worst other presidents we've had.
What's going to make us
scared?
What's going to make us nostalgic for Trump? Like, what in 8 years are we going to be like, remember Trump? It's going to be Kid Rock. That's what's going to make us nostalgic.
I think
it's going to be Eric Trump.
Oh God. It will. It's not going to be the one you think. It's going to be Eric. Oh, that's so true. Oh my God.
Yeah, or just wait like 20 years and it'll be Barron
or Tiffany. Yeah.
I think if we're that kind of country, we'll kind of cease to be in a country before we get to that point. I don't think
you think we're all going to die before we get to Barron Trump as president?
Yeah. I think if we were a country that would want that, I think we'd probably collapse before that. Yeah.
I don't know that we'd want it. I mean, I don't think that
for a country that would elect him, I don't think that's a country that would survive 20, 30 more years.
You guys should make a bet. 20 years.
Yeah, we're going to be dead by then.
Yeah.
I also don't think Maryssa will live that long.
What's taking me out, Dave?
Oh, God knows. It's a confluence of factors. I don't
Freak
know.
karaoke
I just feel like
accident.
You're going to piss off the wrong person.
Oh, yeah. I piss off the wrong people a lot, but, you know.
Yeah.
Here's what I want to talk about. This is something I really want to talk about, I know we brought it up earlier. I just really need to bring this up about, Khashoggi.
Yes.
Which, by the way, we've known about, Adnan Khashoggi for years. That's how we always pronounce it. Now everyone's saying Khashoggi. So I don't know what the right one is. All I'm saying is, here's what I haven't heard anyone bring up yet about the murder of Khashoggi. Of course, he was the Turkish, journalist who was an American resident who we believe was murdered in the Saudi consulate.
I thought he was a Saudi Arabian.
Excuse me, sorry. He was going to marry. He was in the Saudi consulate in Turkey.
Right.
Yes.
He was a former Saudi journalist who was an American resident.
Right.
I believe that he was murdered in the embassy because of the same reason that Russia was willing to murder their former spies. I think they recognize a weakness in the presidency. I think they are recognizing that this is an opportunity to clean house, as it were, because they have a temporary situation where the U.S. president is purely transactional and is abandoning the whole moral high ground thing that presidents usually had. I don't think this would have happened under other presidents.
Isn't it confirmed that he was murdered? Didn't they find audio? Like, they said there was audio and everyone was wondering if that was possible. And then I thought Turkey confirmed that they had
the Turkish newspaper said it, but the Turkish newspaper also said other things that are scientifically impossible.
Okay.
Like that they used his fingerprint to unlock the Apple Watch, which does not exist.
Okay.
But so the Apple Watch doesn't exist, or his fingerprint doesn't exist?
That fingerprinting does not unlock Apple Watches.
Yeah.
That's not a thing that exists in any Apple Watch.
Yeah.
So we can't be 100% sure. Turkey has had issues with people misunderstanding the difference between real and tabloid journalism.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's not true.
Yeah.
They're saying there was a recording, and if there is a recording, we're going to hear it.
Okay.
But we're not 100% sure. But there's almost no argument here that the man wasn't killed inside this embassy. Trump is now resorting to the idea of just saying, oh, the king of Saudi Arabia, he was so upset when he heard this. Oh, it's just terrible the way, So that's what he's going for, because of course they thought they were going to get away with this. They thought there was never going to be proof, and they could just say, prove it, fuck you.
Yeah.
So I think that this is an example of, look, wouldn't Saudi Arabia, looking at Trump, looking at the way Trump is a guy who he's very comfortable dealing with criminals. He worships autocrats. He has shown many times that there is no moral center there. Of course, they're going to say, hey, I think we can get away with killing these journalists for a little while.
So I think that you're correct in the sense that, yes, like, Saudi Arabia knows that they have like free reign to do whatever they want at this time. I don't necessarily know 100% that I agree that this wouldn't have happened under any other president, just because of the fact that they have a new ruler that's young and he needs to make a big splash. Like, he kind of needs to show everyone that, like, there's, he's the new guy in town and he can do whatever he wants. And he's been doing that. I mean, he imprisoned his own family. Like, I think that he's
so you think this is a message?
I think, without a doubt, it's a message, but I don't necessarily know that the message is so much related to Trump as it is that, well,
the message isn't about Trump. The message is don't fuck with us. But that they see Trump as weak enough that they can get away with this, because Trump obviously does not care about this sort of thing. He loves the idea. He would give anything to live in a country where he could do this.
Oh, well, I think that to a degree. To be completely honest, I think they would have done this under any president, because this guy, like, what is he, like, in his 30s, king, whatever his name is?
Oh, yeah, the crown prince.
Yeah. So the crown prince has taken over. He pretty much he kind of started a coup. He's putting his family in, like, prison and hotels. Like, they're not in, like, real prison. But I think that he's just one of these guys that's just he's just gonna shoot up the place just to show that he can. And so I think that he would have done this regardless of the president, just because he needs to like show that he's dominant and that he is a wild card. So
what about Skripal then? Do you think Skripal would have been killed under Hillary Clinton or Obama the way he was, with poisoning, on an ally's soil? Because that one, more so than this, screamed to me they are taking advantage of Trump right now and knowing that they're never going to have a president this week.
Again, like that was the England thing, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I don't think that had anything to do with him, because that's really a Theresa May thing.
And also Putin has
killed people before.
And also has expressed a lot of hate and a desire to punish people who did what that guy, what was his name?
Skripal.
Yeah. Because he had tried to make money off of the fall of the Soviet Union, and Putin had said, like, that he wanted to punish people like that before. And so I don't know, that might have been because it was really brazen, and also, like, someone else who wasn't even related to it died, right? Because they tried to do it with perfume and then it got sent to someone else. Is that right? That's the same.
Well, his
case.
Daughter, his daughter died with him, I believe. Or is she still alive?
No, they didn't die. It was it was the random people.
Yeah. It was just a random person. Like, they didn't want, like, yeah.
2 people, yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, that is pretty brazen.
Skripal lived.
Yeah. But his daughter did die, right?
I don't know if his daughter died.
I thought somebody in his family died, and then also, yeah, the random person. I know, I gotta Google this.
I thought it was
her name was Yulia.
Yeah. But, like, he's poisoned other people before, and I can't remember his name, but he survived the poisoning and his face just got real fucked up.
Yeah, that was
nice.
That was an actual candidate.
That was a different,
but yes,
yeah.
Skripal and his daughter both survived, and it was the couple later that accidentally got hit by it that died.
Yeah.
But yeah, Skripal lived.
Oh, yeah, both Skripal and his daughter lived.
So they were incompetent at this anyway.
Yeah, so, like, but I think what my point is, though, is that Putin would have done this regardless of the president. And if
I don't know if he would have done it in England. That's what I wonder.
But, like, him doing it in England, I think, says more about his disrespect for Theresa May than it does about his, reassurance of Trump.
Right, but there's no question that under a different president, there would have been much bigger consequences for this.
Oh, for sure.
In England. And I think Putin is aware of that. I think the attempt to kill Skripal and his daughter was one of the many ways Putin is trying to cash
I don't think that Putin
is-
would have done it under Thatcher.
Well, I think he wouldn't have done it but there was also a different situation where Thatcher was powerful because of her connection to Reagan.
Yeah.
I think that this was an example of Putin cashing in his control of Trump. This is one of the perks.
I mean, there certainly would have been more of a response from us. That's true.
And enough of one that maybe they would have not done this because they did it here's the thing. Killing a spy with poison tells the world the KGB did this.
Yeah. I didn't realize 48 people sought medical attention from that attack.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Killing people with poison means we wanted people to know the Russian government did this.
Yeah.
And same thing with this, with Khashoggi. They're killing people in very public ways. And that was the thing. Usually it's not that hard to get away with murdering someone, with making it look like a robbery. It's weird the way that these are now getting to be so dramatic.
Yeah, it's definitely splashy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that feels like related to Trump and related to, because what Trump has done by not ascribing to what all the other U.S. presidents had, this kind of moral high ground, this kind of like moral, absolutism he thinks he looks at it and says, oh, we don't have time to be moral. Morality is for stupid people. It's for the weak. I'm going to run a country where we just win. The problem is when you do that, you create an environment where more people want to commit these crimes. So like he looks at it as the world will be no different except for I'll be like this, but it's not true. It's like if someone said, if we got rid of all cops, there'd be less crime. Because they say, well, cops do this and that. But the problem is if there were no cops, a lot of people who would never have committed a crime before now would. And that's what changes it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's fair. I think it's hard to like know for sure because it's such a hypothetical, like whether they would have done it under a different president, but certainly the reaction would have been different. I think I kind of agree with Maryssa. I kind of think that Khashoggi, was going to be murdered. Like that seemed like.
I think that if it might be a different outcome if this was different, if the crown prince wasn't trying so hard to make an impression. But I think because he's kind of like strong arming the whole, government there, if you want to call it a government or,
we could talk about this in a grander way, that this is part of the overall planetary shift towards
fascism,
towards tyranny.
Yeah.
And that this is an example of how, look at what's happening in Germany and Italy.
Yeah.
Where we have
Germany
a
is scary,
terrifying, hard right turn that could very well plunge the planet into end times.
Yeah.
And we cannot as a planet survive a bunch of Donald Trumps and Putins running every country.
Yeah. And the Khashoggi thing, there are so many echoes of when the what's his face print, when the guy was executed No.
William.
No. The death that started World War One.
Archduke Franz Ferdinand.
Yeah. Thank you. I was just having a brain fart there, but like just like
wait, you don't have Franz Ferdinand's name on the tip of your tongue all the time?
So I weirdly I don't. But yeah, just sort of the one small event, setting off national repercussions, that and create like deepening already existing divides. I'm not saying that this is necessarily going to be World War III, but it is just one of those things where it's like, a person dies and leaders fail to respond
Well, I kind of feel like this is the domino effect that we were worried about with communism, but instead it's really like totalitarianism, fascism, that like one by one across the globe, like all these governments are falling under these like totalitarian dictatorships or oligarchs or, it's interesting because now this is where I would say that I think that Trump being president, is a factor is that typically the U.S. is the one that would try to push back against this in a global sense. And that, who watches the Watchmen? And we don't have one. So we're just kind of, just need Canada to pick it up for the next 3 years until we can get somebody in here that actually is an American.
Yeah. Because the only person watching The Watchmen right now is Stephen Miller, and
he just wants to watch them burn.
No, it's so terrible. That was the thing with the Kavanaugh.
Why does Stephen Miller want to steal all these children? Like, what is he?
I don't know.
Like, I think he wants to use them for batteries.
Did you see his speech in college about the lazy? The lazy cleaning people?
Yeah.
The article.
As he would just throw this garbage everywhere. And he's like, well, they were paid to pick this up.
Yeah, the article that he wrote. Yeah.
Now, he looks like someone that should have been bullied more in school.
Truly.
Like, if he had his ass kicked like 10 more times, then he'd be a normal person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he does have that kind of face of a man who's never been punched. Trump and Miller truly believe in the idea that all cruelty is proof of your manliness. Mm-hmm. And so they see this idea that the meaner they are, the more cruel they are, especially to people who can't fight back, the more it proves that they're big, tough guys. That's the extent.
That's because they can't rely on their dick size.
Yeah.
That is small dick energy.
I was so glad when that was confirmed. Like, we all knew he had a tiny mushroom dick, but like now we really know that he has a tiny mushroom dick. Like, that's nice.
I mean, you look at it, he's 6'2". Well, he used to be. Now he's 6 feet tall. But I mean, he does have when I met him, I actually literally thought this guy's got weirdly small hands, and it was before that became like a thing.
Mm-hmm. No, they're quite small. I mean, they're small.
They're fat, but they're small. They're short fingered. They're fat hands because he's a fat man. Mm-hmm. But,
no, I think that should be stressed more. I thank you for saying that because I feel like we overlook that a lot. Like, he's so terrible on the inside. And, this is a concept in submitting evidence. Like, when you open the door, I feel he's opened the door to having his looks mocked. I don't think we should usually mock people's looks, but like, he's fat. And I think it's important that we all remember
that is body shaming.
I know it is. And that's why I'm saying I don't condone it normally, but he opened the door.
That's fine. The reason why he's so mad at everyone's because he hasn't seen his dick since 85.
Yeah. But he should thank his lucky stars. No one should see that.
No. You make fun of somebody's looks. You open the door for that. He thinks he's handsome. He thinks he's a beautiful man.
Yeah, and he's calling Stormy horseface. Like, what?
He got a butthole on his face.
Why did you pay to fuck her?
Like $130,000. Like, apparently that horse face was worth as much as a fucking pony.
That is a prize-winning horse face.
Yeah.
No one thinks he didn't fuck her. No one believes he did not have an affair with this woman.
No, he's
doing this just as an exercise of showing I don't compromise even when everyone knows I'm lying, because because the people who like him believe lying is a show of strength. Because that you have the gall to do so.
Ugh.
Yeah.
They respect him for lying because they think it's what a tough guy does.
Yeah. It's not.
And that's why they don't care when he's caught lying, because they think he's lying on behalf of them. And they just love him as a person, and they think that he should just destroy everything to feed his ego because they want to live vicariously through him.
Honestly, I think that Trump voters should have to spend like a week with him.
I think they would love it.
I don't know.
They wouldn't. Are you kidding me? If any of these people had to have Trump as a boss, they would kill themselves or him.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that I think a lot of them would still be like so in awe and enamored because like he's like their daddy, and like it's just kind of like, well, of course, like, he's a tough guy, he's a businessman, he's a boss, he acts like a boss, which I think that I think that's like a part of the reason why like so many men, like young men, are following him. Like, did you guys hear about the Proud Boys?
Oh yeah.
So the Proud Boys have been demonstrating across the nation, and the Proud Boys are what they are self-described as Western chauvinists. And so I've been trying to do a little research on it, and hopefully I'm sure they're going to keep this up and I can do more research on it, but they don't consider themselves to be alt-right, but they...
No one does. Sorry, go on.
The alt-right does apparently, but they a lot of them marched at Charlottesville, and they just got into a street fight in New York City with some Antifa guys, and like a bunch of them I guess attacked 3 Antifa guys. And I don't know. To me, I think that those guys all look at Trump as being some sort of daddy.
Yeah, they do. These are all guys who just wanted to stay in frats forever, even though they didn't go to college.
Yeah, I think a week with him in their house, though, would change their mind. I think a week of having Trump in their house and really he's staying in their house and they have to feed him and deal with him. I think that would change their mind. But I don't know. Maybe I just say that.
To be honest, I think
what public person has had so many of his own people turn on him?
That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Like working for him clearly sucks so much. Oh man. Yeah. I'm reading about this Proud Boys thing. Ugh.
These guys are hilarious.
I spent a week working with him and it was a joke. But the Proud Boys are they're just little boys.
They're hilarious.
Man, this is
They
not
just want to
even
be little boys who want to have what they want.
These guys are a part-time hobbyist. They're the open micers of hate groups. Okay,
but they really are attacking people. They're not just Also, why are there not white people in this picture of them? I'm looking at a picture of them, and
so this is another
you have to be
phenomenon
diverse in 2018. Okay, even they got the idea.
Is interesting is that the Proud Boys actually do have a lot of non-white people in them, and so, but they also are white supremacists and are also white nationalists. So I was reading an article about the men of color in this group, and so they claim that racism doesn't exist and that it's a lie that's perpetrated by the Democrats in order to keep people of color down. And so the Proud Boys of color is kind of why they are a part of this group, because they don't believe that racism exists.
And look how cool that makes them feel to the other Proud Boys. I bet the approval they get from these new strangers is so overwhelming.
It's just think
any Republican who's black gets to be on TV the next day. But it's a bribe, basically.
But my question is out of all the names they could have come up with, Proud Boys, it's so lame. At least Antifa sounds like we're Antifa. That sounds more
Antifa
menacing.
Sounds like dinnerware. Neither of those groups I take seriously. I think they're fucking both jokes.
But at least Antifa sounds a little bit more menacing. But also, Proud Boy
wasn't Antifa? Did they call themselves that, or did that? I don't.
Antifa is a term that refers. It goes back to Nazi Germany.
Yeah, they're anti-fascist,
right? So
that's why they're hated by Trump people so much,
right? So they
harken back to fighting Nazis.
They didn't call themselves that. They weren't we're the group. Other people called them that. That's way better than being we're the Proud Boys.
Yes, Queen.
We're boys and we're proud.
Antifa is nothing but an abbreviation of what they are.
Anti-fascist. Yeah.
And
which we're going to have some explaining to do when we have to tell our kids why we were Antifa was so lame. They're going to be what? What does it mean? Anti-fascist? Wait, what?
Yeah.
We're going to have to explain that. That's going to be.
You better agree with me or I'm going to punch you because I'm anti-fascist.
Because I'm anti-fascist.
But we're going to have to wrap this up. But before we go, just everyone say where your people can find you, what gigs you have coming up next. Phill.
Okay, so if you're in New York City the Sunday before Halloween, go to Comedy Fight Club, see me tell some incredibly racist jokes on stage. You can also find my satirical writings at thesocialjusticeweekly.com, and you can check out my podcast at The Fake Outrage Report.
Sarah.
You can follow me on social media. It's just my name, SarahHartshorne. That's on Twitter, and it's the exact same on Instagram, except it's Sarah B. Hartshorne, SarahB. Hartshorne. And you can also go to my website, officialsbh.com, and you can sign up for my email list, and then I'll send you information about the shows. I swear I'm going to start doing that this week. This is the week for sure that I'm going to do it. But also, you can check out Lady Parts Justice. That's where I work and I write for them. And we have a show that will happen before this airs, but you can watch the live stream. It's called The Golden Probes. You can go to thegoldenprobes.com. It's a awards show being hosted by Margaret Cho. Stormy Daniels is one of the presenters, Dan Savage, the cast of The Orange is the New Black, Francesca Ramsey, Akilah Hughes. We have a bunch of amazing people. And you can see the live stream of that on October 28th. So it's thegoldenprobes.com. And on that site, there's also all the information about Lady Parts Justice.
Dave.
Dave Sirus, Sirus, on Twitter and Instagram. You can see me dressed as the Terminator at some party on Halloween, probably, because I don't have any gigs because I am too busy with other stuff.
And you can follow us on Twitter at the Blamestorm. If you enjoyed the podcast, please rate and review us on iTunes. Follow me on Twitter at Maryssa Smith, and also check out my other podcast, Big Talk and Brewskis. That's been our show. This is Blamestorming. Good night.
Peace.
Good night.